If you're trying to decide whether to live in North Hills versus Cranberry Township, this one decision could impact your commute, your budget, and how much you actually enjoy daily life here in Pittsburgh. And what most people don't realize here is that they attract two different types of buyers, even though they're only 20 minutes apart. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the pros and cons of living in North Hills versus Cranberry Township, and by the end, you should know exactly which one will fit your lifestyle better. Now, a little side note here, I'm actually coming to you from my home office. I'm not going to be filming anything outside for this video due to the fact that we just got about 12 to 14 inches here in the Pittsburgh area yesterday. The whole city shut down, and it's going to be in the single digits pretty much for next week and a half. So, on a side note, if you don't like the snow and you don't like the cold, Pittsburgh in general might not be the right place for you. So keep that in mind. Let's jump on into the video. All right, so first things first, let's define what North Hills is. If you're not from Pittsburgh region, you might not know what the heck I'm talking about here. So I'm going to be talking about, and I'll show a map here. I'll be talking about Westview. These are all areas north of Pittsburgh, north of the city, and even north of the North Shore areas. So I'm going to be talking about Westview. We're going to talk about Ross Township, up into McCandless, some of Wexford I still consider the North Hills. And then on the eastern side of that area, I'm going to be talking about, we're referring to that with Shaler and Hampton Township as well. And then Cranberry Township is going to be the northern county just north of Allegheny County, which is Butler County. So just over the line. Cranberry Township is considered one of the fastest growing suburbs here in the Pittsburgh region. So get that quick definition in there so you guys know what region I'm actually talking about here. Now let's get on with the pros and cons. Okay, so let's jump into pro number one for North Hills. For living in North Hills is going to be location. So if you work downtown, you're a professional or something that works downtown, work a strip district down into Oakland, somewhere around there, or even the North Shore, the commute is fantastic. It's 15, 25 minutes to get to downtown from the North Hills area. So if you're working in one of those areas downtown, man, this improves your quality of life right away because you're not sitting in a vehicle for 30, 45 minutes up to an hour. If you're coming from another city like Los Angeles, New York, or any of the big cities down in Texas or whatnot that are getting just bombarded with traffic, you can appreciate this. A 15 to 20 minute commute is totally the flip side of where you're coming from, and that makes a huge difference when you don't have to drive and sit in traffic for that long period of time. So that's pro number one for North Hills is going to be location. For instance, I actually lived when I was living over in McCandless. I still live in the North Hills in Allison Park, but when I was living in McCandless, we would want to go down to a Pirate game or a Steelers game or something, and we could get from McCandless, from my doorstep, into parking garage right beside PNC Park to watch the Pirates play, 17, 18 minutes for an evening game. So that gives you an idea of what kind of traffic. And it was, I forget how many miles, it might have been 15 miles, something like that, from McCandless down to the parking garage that I parked in. So there's pro number one, location. All right, so pro number two for living in North Hills is going to be established neighborhoods. The North Hills is much more established than Cranberry Township. Now you're going to find mature trees, larger lots, classic brick homes, neighborhoods that actually feel like they've been around forever, but in a good way because they're clean, they're nice, they're established. People look like they actually respect the streets and whatnot. There's not garbage laying all over the place in most of the neighborhoods. So if you like character and that true Pittsburgh feel, then this area at North Hills is going to check that box. Okay, let's move on to pro number three, living in North Hills. And pro number three is going to be having access to some really solid school districts right here. And you have, according to niche.com, like a lot of these school districts rank pretty high, especially among public schools. So you're going to have the Hampton Township, you're going to have Shaler area, North Hills School District, and you're going to have the number one ranked school district, according to niche.com, in the Pittsburgh area, which is going to be North Allegheny School District. So having those options available to different families is definitely going to be a draw. So if school districts are important to you and you're not wanting to pay higher prices for a new construction home and you still want those school districts that are pretty solid, North Hills may be a fit for you. Okay, so let's get into the cons. Con number one for living in North Hills is going to be the traffic. So the elephant in the room is going to be McKnight Road, and I almost said it right there, a lot of people call it McKnight Mirror Road just for the traffic. You have all kinds of different shops, you have restaurants, you have the Ross Park Mall and all these things. which is great, which is pro, but then the con is it's kind of a bottleneck. We don't have bridges or tunnels coming from the north. Well, we do have bridges. We don't have tunnels coming from the north side, but we have McKnight Road, which is going to bottleneck all traffic from all the way up through Cranberry and the areas up there. You're going to funnel down through onto McKnight Road. And if you're going shopping during the holidays or on the weekends, you're going to hit a lot of traffic, especially we just had the Christmas holiday come past. So, Black Friday, of course, after Thanksgiving, that Friday is a mess. That weekend is an absolute mess. Trying to get around anywhere, any short distance is going to take you a long time. So con number one is going to be the traffic, and that's basically due to McKnight Road. Now let's move into con number two, and con number two is going to be older houses. All right, so most of the houses around the North Hills area were built in the 1950s to the 1980s, somewhere around in there. That's the majority of homes. So you don't have those new builds, so as many new builds anyway. So that means you're gonna have smaller closets. You're gonna have, not the open floor plans per se, and in some cases you're gonna have a lot more maintenance because of older homes, and that's what you get with older homes. Is you got to keep up with the maintenance. The exteriors start falling apart a little bit. You're going to need obviously new roofs, stuff like that. The big thing here in the North Hills and actually Pittsburgh in general, Allegheny County, with all these older homes, is going to be the sewage system and the sewer drain. So that's just something you have to address. A lot of them were those old terracotta drain systems that they just crack. Roots grow through them from the trees, and then they just get clogged up. So pretty much any transaction that's going to happen from now on in Allegheny County in general, you're going to have to get sewage line inspection with your camera. So just keep that in mind. If you're living in North Hills, a lot of these older homes, you're going to have some issues with maintenance. All right, so now let's move into the pros for living in Cranberry Township. So just opposite of what we rolled off of with that con number two about the being older homes in North Hills, in Cranberry Township, the pro number one is going to be a lot of newer homes. So a lot of homes were built in the 2000s and up. There's a lot of new construction going on, a lot of new developments. And the reason being is because there was a lot more land available, so a lot of old farms and whatnot, because Cranberry Township years and decades ago was just nothing but basically farmland, and it just kept getting developed and developed and developed as people wanted to move further and further out of Allegheny County, away from the burg, just so taxes were a lot less and whatnot. So pro number one is going to be a lot more newer homes. So you got the open floor plans, the new larger kitchens, the HOA amenities if you like HOAs. I don't. And that's going to be a big draw for relocation buyers, is to have those big, large, newer homes with the open floor plans. So pro number one, newer homes. Now pro number two is going to be school districts. Same as we did with North Hills. The pro number two is going to be school districts, and that's going to be Seneca Valley for Cranberry Township, and that encompasses a very, very large area. And according to niche.com, it's ranked up there as well within the top 5, I believe, definitely within the top 10, but within the top 5, I believe, for public schools around the Pittsburgh area and the suburbs of Pittsburgh. So a lot of buyers we see here, they don't even consider a location if the schools aren't good. So if that's important to you, you have family, you have kids, then obviously schools are going to be important to you. So Seneca Valley, rated one of the top school districts in the Pittsburgh area. Okay, so let's move on to pro number 3 for living in Cranberry Township, and that is going to be the suburban lifestyle and amenities. So Cranberry basically feels like a master plan community. It's very large, but it kind of has that feeling, if you will. There's going to be wider roads. You got new shopping. You got the parks. You got youth sports, restaurants, gyms. It's built basically for suburban living, the way it's laid out. And you have easy access to 79 to get south into Pittsburgh, or go north up into Erie, or also there's Turnpike, which will take you, the PA Turnpike, which will take you west into Ohio, or east all the way to Philadelphia on the other side of Pennsylvania. So pro number 3 for living in Cranberry Township is that suburban lifestyle and its amenities. All right, so let's move on to the cons for Cranberry Township, and con number 1 is going to be price point. All right, so with those new builds, the new construction, the biggest downside can often be cost. So there are entry-level homes, then they can often start in the $400,000, but that is still well above the median price in the United States. And new construction can easily get up in the $600,000. But a lot of those $600,000 or $800,000 can be, a lot of them are townhomes, to be quite honest with you, because you have a lot of luxury builders building here in Cranberry Township, like Infinity and Eddie and Benjamin Marcus and whatnot. But the $600,000 range is going to be a lot of townhomes. Now you can get into other new builders like Charter. Charter homes can get you a nice, decent home, but it's still going to be $600,000 to $800,000. All right. So price point, that's definitely a con here as prices keep rising and rising and rising in Cranberry Township. All right, so con number 2 for living in Cranberry Township can be the commute to downtown. Now, it is an easy shot. You have Interstate 79, so what you do is you take 79 southbound to 279, and that'll take you right into downtown, the North Shore, or take it across not the Fort Pitt Bridge, but take it across the bridge down there and get into downtown and make your way into Strip District or whatnot down there. But I tell you what, if you're listening to the radio and you're traveling and you're commuting in the mornings, you're constantly going to hear about accidents happening on Interstate 79. And it seems like a lot of them and it doesn't matter, it's north and south that I hear these accidents. And honestly, most of them seem to be right around the Warrendale exit, which is the 910 exit. So that's just south of Cranberry Township. So your 30-minute commute could easily turn into 45 or 50 minutes once you get those accidents, just as any other city. You're a little further away. You have to hit a highway to get there. You can take Route 19 from Cranberry Township and go through Wexford, Warrendale to Wexford, through the North Hills. But then you're hitting all kinds of traffic stop signs and whatnot, or traffic lights, coming down 19. And then you got to run into McNightmare Road. So you are probably better off taking Interstate 79 south, but you run the risk of running into some accidents. So con number 2 is that commute to downtown. All right, so let's talk about con number 3 and the final con that we're going to cover for Cranberry Township, and that is the fact that there are a lot of HOAs with those new developments. They encompass, a lot of them have the HOAs, and that gives that kind of cookie cutter feel. So if you're not into HOAs, which I already stated before in this video, I am not a big fan of HOAs. Not everybody's going to love all the rules and all the fees that are encompassed with that HOA, and the fact that they depends on what their bylaws are and whatnot, they can pretty much tell you exactly what kind of fence you can put in, how tall a fence you can put in, what color the fence is, what color of house you can paint your house, what color of front door you can do. So I am just not a big fan of HOA, and it has that kind of cookie cutter feel instead of that old charm as compared to living in the North Hills. So while it looks clean and looks polished, a lot of buyers just feel that it just it just lacks the character that the North Hills or other areas of Pittsburgh can encompass. So con number 3 is the HOAs and that cookie cutter feel. All right, so to wrap this up, here's usually how I break it down for my clients. If you want shorter commutes, established neighborhoods, and slightly lower price points, North Hills is usually the better fit for you. If you're looking for newer homes or maybe just a more suburban feel, more modern suburban lifestyle, then Cranberry Township often wins that one. But I'd say neither one is really better than the other, but it just kind of depends on what your type of lifestyle is that you're looking to have here in Pittsburgh. All right, so if you're thinking about buying or relocating to the Pittsburgh area and you need that help in figuring out which neighborhood might be the best fit for you and your lifestyle, go ahead and reach out. The first step on working with me, number 1 step, is to set up a Zoom call so we can have a free consultation, meet each other. You might not like me, I might not like you. So we got to make sure that we're a good fit there and we can work well together. So send me an email at shane@expgh.com. We'll set up that Zoom and get on that consultation and take it from there. All right, guys, thanks again for watching. I appreciate you, and see you in the next videos. And until then, keep it real estate.